Welcome back, everyone. Today we're going over some legendary champs in Godforge. Yes, I did pause the video there, so Hell Hades would look a little goofy. Yeah, and I skipped the intro. He just kind of shows the character models. Those are actually pretty cool if you want to go check them out on their website, or rather YouTube page. Might be on the website too, I'm not sure. But let's check out Anubis's kit, see what he's got to say.
Let's start off with Anubis. So Anubis is A1, or his basic attack, Soul Guide. Attacks an enemy with percentage of his attack and max HP. If the enemy dies, it's got a chance to put fear on all other enemies. That's his basic attack.
Let's go back there and look at it. So this is interesting. 250% attack plus 15% max HP. The reason I say that's interesting is a lot of games like this, including Raid, which, definitely a lot of people involved with this project came from Raid or played Raid, however you want to look at it, have talked about when Polarium tried to do similar things on champions and it just doesn't work well. Having the characters attack scale off of attack and defense instead of one. Usually you pick one to kind of go towards it. Obviously they have two here, and I have definitely watched some Hell Hades videos in the past where he talked about champions that do scale off of two things just haven't worked. So it makes me wonder what they're doing different. Made me kind of think about armor sets and weapons. Specifically yesterday, I was thinking about this last night. If you go back and you watch and you look at the loot at the end of the demo stage, there's a weapon, shows a 1. I believe that's level 1. It could also mean you got one of that item, I'm not sure, but it has a gold border, kind of like the heroes you see over here around it. So it could be level up that legendary, which if you have a legendary item would kind of exclude it from a set, which makes me wonder, are they building sets? And if so, how are they gonna build them? Will this set include some kind of, if it's 2-piece, 3, 4, 5, 6, I mean, we don't know how many slots there are or anything like that yet, but will be like a 6-piece set and then a caveat 5 with a legendary, you still get the bonus? Or is the weapon completely its own slot? Or they're not going to be sets, more like we see in Diablo 4 right now, a traditional RPG. I know this is a gotcha game, hero collector type deal, but definitely the people involved in this have also, well, at least Chosen, aka Brad, definitely covered Diablo in the past and is very familiar with the aspects of that. So I guess we'll have to see how you would build the champion with attack and HP. But that's a pretty good skill. We know what fear does. If the enemy dies on all other enemies. Okay, so yeah, that would be a very good first skill. Okay, let's see what's next.
It's got a chance to put fear on all other enemies. That's his basic attack. We'll then go into his second skill, his core skill, Embalming Blast. Attacks all enemies with attack and max HP. 75% chance to put Corrupt and Initiative down for 2 turns. And then...
Okay, let me go back. See if we can... So here's the entry. That says 20 max HP. Was the other one percentage, or was it also...
Chance to put...
See, that says 15% max HP. Went too far. 20. I wonder if there's supposed to be a percentage there, 20% max HP, because this is a second skill. 5 turn cooldown. I'm gonna guess they probably just forgot it's plus 20%. But let's see, attacks all enemies, so it's AoE. Although if you had, that'd be a very strong AoE. 20% max HP. So maybe it is just 20 points. Has 75% chance to place Corrupt, which is going to be some kind of weakened debuff. And Initiative, that's the word I couldn't remember yesterday. I'm not entirely sure how it's going to work. Because if you Google it, because I'm not familiar with that, I don't recall it any games I've played. But it says for D&D it determined the order of moves. So is that going to be, essentially a speed down, reduce speed? Or is it just going to move them a spot down in the turn? We had that little bar over here on this side, the left side yesterday, that showed the turn order. If you hit somebody with Initiative, I think that's what it's called, down, is it just going to move them one spot down? Or how's that going to work exactly? Also, I was noticing this, or thinking about this last night, because I noticed it when I was rewatching. You see this says, this looks like it has a 2 after it. And you see it there too. And I think I've seen that, was it on a Drain skill? I know he has Drain in his next one, I guess we'll see if it says it on there. But that makes me think there's different versions of it. Is there a weak and a strong, kind of like Raid, or is there going to be a small, medium, large? Who knows? But at least this appears to be a stronger version than, when we see that. Doesn't have a number after it, or maybe it'll have a 1. I guess we'll have to see when we get a look at like something like this champion right here that just has the green border.
With attack and max HP, 75% chance to put Corrupt and Initiative down for 2 turns. And then his ultimate, Weigh the Scales, attacks all enemies, 200% attack and 15% max HP, and a chance to put Drain for 2 turns on all enemies. Repeat it if the enemies have got less than half of their divinity. That's Anubis for you. He's also got his
Okay, so this has the percentage again, so makes me think again that the 20%, or the 20 on the previous one, should have been a 20%. Also, I didn't mention it, but it looks like these are all additive. Maybe that other one's multiplicative. Maybe that's why it's 20 and not 20%. No, it's additive also. Okay. Has a 35% chance to place Drain 2, so the stronger version from what we can tell, for 2 turns. Repeats this attack on enemies with less than 50% divinity. Huh. Wonder how that's measured. I wonder if divinity, I should pay closer attention. I wonder if divinity has something to do with that yellow bar at the bottom, but that did appear to be related to turns as well. So I'm not sure how you would see that on screen. I must be missing something. But you gain divinity when enemy dies, and 300 additional when killed by Soul Guide. I assume that countdown of 999 is because they are unsure how to what the cooldown is on that. Because if you look, you got 1, 2, 3, and then I don't think he hovers over this, but I'm gonna assume if he doesn't, this is the ultimate skill. Or no, I think that's the passive. So where would the ultimate skill be? Or I guess, whoops, it says ultimate right here. Okay. So the divinity then would be, I guess, essentially the little orbs on the character. If you remember yesterday, you had like the individual characters down here at the bottom, and then they had a little orb. I'm gonna guess divinity somehow fills that up. Alright, let's see what he says about the passive. You can also see the leader bonus there. HP in all battles. That's pretty good.
Half of their divinity. That's Anubis for you. He's also got his passive here, so gains 20% turn meter whenever any unit dies from Tomb Watcher.
Huh. Interesting. It says whenever an enemy dies from Tomb Watcher. I wonder if he just misspoke there. Passive. I think it's called Tomb Watcher. Okay, let's check out the next hero.
Whenever any unit dies from Tomb Watcher. Aphrodite, so a basic skill, Lover's Duet.
Alright, Lover's Duet. Straight 300% attack. Increases turn meter of all out. See, so there's speed up. So how is speed up and initiative going to work together? And you see it's speed up too. And then, yeah, so you get speed up and initiative. After attacking, place speed up too. So this sounds, okay, let me increase the turn meters of all allies under speed up and initiative. Oh, okay, so it's not placing it, okay. After attacking, places speed up on this hero for 1 turn. So that's a strong attack, but that seems pretty conditional. Allies under speed up and initiative. I wonder if it's going to be or in the future. 'Cause 10% is pretty good. I mean, in other games, 10% is decent, right? So we assume it's going to work about the same here. But the and can make it difficult to get, you know, more conditional. You have to set up your team, the turn order a lot more specifically than if it was one of these. So I guess we'll see how that works in the future, how hard it is to speed tune and to get to. I wonder if she has a skill that has this, but it only places speed up on her, but she might self-buff, you know. I guess we'll have to see what the other skills are.
Attacks an enemy with attack, increases the turn meter of allies that have got speed up and initiative up by 10%, and then places speed up 2 on herself as well. A second skill, a core skill.
Divine Sacrament, okay. Targets any ally placing speed up and initiative for 3 turns. Okay. So essentially, if she combos this with the first skill, she's speed buffing herself, it looks like. Target any ally. I wonder if that includes them or if it literally has to be another person on your team or being. I don't know. I wouldn't really say Anubis is a person, right? He's a Egyptian god. Because, I mean, you could make if this is Odin. You know, he's human-like. You'd still call him human, I guess, even though they're not. They're gods, so. Anyways, that's off topic. So I wonder if that's just allies or if she can put it on herself. Because then every time she uses this skill, she's essentially speed boosting herself. That's my initial thought seeing that.
Divine Sacrament. Target an ally, put speed up and initiative up for 3 turns and goes again. And then our ultimate temptation.
Ultimate, okay, Temptation of the Flesh. 400% attack. Confuse for 2 turns. So standard. Doesn't look like there's a. Don't know if that's a. I have noticed too, like you look at this stun. There's no numbers after, so I wonder if there's just one version of that, or these are the smaller or weaker versions, however you want to phrase it. So places confuse on 2 turn enemies whose resistance is equal or less than this hero's accuracy. Okay, so you got to build her with no cooldown either, huh? So yeah, that 999 on the other must have just been some type of visual bug or a placeholder or something for the demo. Because I assume it's going to be, when you get this full, then you can use it. Kind of like yesterday we saw Musashi it was Musashi's turn. He went to Zeus, uses Zeus's ultimate, then went back to Musashi, uses his ultimate, and then a regular skill for his regular turn. So, places confuse, okay. Places stun for 1 turn on enemies whose resistance is equal to or greater than the hero's, than this hero's accuracy. This stun cannot be resisted, okay. So does that mean it puts places confuse for 2 turns? Accuracy. So I wonder if it's both or one or the other. Like if this fails, it says it cannot be resisted. Huh. I wonder if it's both. I guess I could read this and we'll see. If a confuse or stun disable is registered or blocked, decrease the enemy's turn meter by 25%. That's pretty good. But I don't know why they're separated like this. If it's going to do both, because it places them. So you don't. So you do need accuracy so it can be placed, but you don't need accuracy in the sense that you have a percentage chance of landing it. You know, kind of like Raid. If Raid said it's going to place something, your accuracy doesn't affect that landing, which is how I read this. Then you gain 50 divinity when placing a buff on an ally. Huh. That's weird that that's there on this skill, because clearly this is a buff. So it's sort of a passive, but listed on this skill for some reason. I'm not sure why that's listed with this skill, because this skill is clearly a debuff, you know, confuse and stun. So what would placing a buff on an ally have to do with this skill? Interesting. Okay.
Of the flesh attacks all enemies with 400% attack, puts confuse on them for 2 turns where the resistance is equal or less than this hero's accuracy, and then puts a stun for 1 turn on enemies whose resistance is equal or greater to this champion's accuracy. So it depends which way round. The stun cannot be resisted. If a confuse or stun disable is resisted or blocked, decrease that enemy's turn meter by 25%. Massive ultimate coming from Aphrodite there.
That was interesting. He didn't even read the gain 50, which makes me feel like it is just kind of out of place there, but I guess we'll see. But anyways, passive Eternal Bond. Allies under speed up 2 and initiative up 2. So stronger versions there. Gain 20% more incoming healing, turn meter, and will deal 20% more damage from attacks. Okay. So even though this skill, what was it? 400% attack? Yeah. She definitely looks to be much more of a support character. Increases ally accuracy by 60% in all battles. So yeah, she's buffing up speed. We'll have to see how speed up and initiative work together. But you throw that on there, then all your allies. Or is it all? Or a single ally? An ally. So that ally, though, will then have 20% more healing, turn meter, and will deal 20% more damage. So really, gain 20% more incoming healing, turn meter, and will deal 20% more damage from attacks. But I wonder how this is going to work. So they're going to gain 20% more healing, and then what's 20% of a turn meter? Is that what they're saying? 20% more healing, comma, turn meter, and will deal 20% more damage. So I'm guessing you get 20% turn meter fill, sort of. I have to see how that works, but that's how I'm reading it right now, unless I'm misinterpreting it. And again, I could just be not understanding this. and this isn't final, so they may word it more clearly after feedback or something, especially after people test it and see what it does versus how it reads.
In turn meter, and will do 20% more damage from attacks. So the last one then, King Arthur, Arthur Pendragon.
Alright, Loyal Strike. Attack an enemy. Okay, it's the first one we've seen defense, but again, you see the combo here, defense and attack, which is giving me Fellhound vibes from Raid, if I'm remembering correctly. He, I don't know, it's just a dog, so it does damage based on defense and attack, if I'm remembering correctly. Has a 50% chance to place. So see, there you see the 50% chance to place. But again, it says place. So it's more like a coin flip. I don't know if accuracy necessarily falls into play here. And then place intercept for 1 turn on a random ally. Huh. So if that is its first skill, he looks tanky, and obviously you get more damage from defense than attack, which makes me think he would be a tanky character. So if it places intercept on 1 turn, or on 1 ally, that makes me think that intercept in this case is going to work almost like ally protect. So let's say you had him, a squishier damage dealer, maybe a healer, and another damage dealer. You use this skill, intercept gets on one of the squishier characters, then whatever boss you are, presumably targeting an ally with the highest attack or maybe lowest HP, who knows, but he'll take the damage or block it or something along those lines.
Its basic attacks, attacks an enemy, 50% chance to place a taunt on them, and puts an intercept on a random ally as well. The core skill,
of course, Excalibur's Call. Attacks all enemies, so AoE, 200% defense, 100% attack, so very strong. Has 75% chance to place attack down 2, so stronger version. We know what attack down does, that's pretty standard. For 2 turns, increases the defense of Avalon allies by 10% up to 30. So I wonder what it's based on. Okay. Avalon allies is the faction, so a bit of a faction guardian, if you will, from Raid. Or faction champions, I forget what they're called. I don't have any, so I don't need to know the name. But cooldown 5 turns. Okay, attack down, okay.
Excalibur's Call attacks all enemies with his defense and attack. 75% chance to put an attack down on all enemies, and increases the defense of Avalon allies as well. And in the ultimate
King's Oath. Place Retaliate. Okay, so some sort of counter attack. For 2 turns on this hero, place Immortal. Also sounds, like unkillable, if you want to call it that. Or block damage, one of the two. Well, Immortal would probably be closer to unkillable, so you could still take damage, but you would not die, as opposed to a block damage skill where you can't take any damage. But places Immortal for 2 turns on allies with higher defense and attack. Places Vanish for 2 turns on allies with higher attack than defense. Oh, I read that first one wrong then. Not and, than. Higher defense than attack. Higher attack than defense. So you essentially go invisible, can't be targeted. I'm assuming that's how Vanish is going to work. If you have higher attack and you become Immortal, aka block damage is what I'm guessing at this point if you have more defense. Okay, so he seems... that AoE seems strong, but then this is very much a support ability and gain 100% divinity when this hero counterattacks. Okay. So he could actually crank out some damage. If you think about it almost like what's that set called in Raid? Counterattack. I think you have 25% chance to counterattack. This is essentially a skill that's going to cause that, is how I'm reading it. Although it's not at 25%, it's just going to happen. Yeah, retaliate on this hero for 2 turns. Okay. And then this had taunt. Let's go back and look too far. Yeah, so if you have taunt and you're forcing something to attack you. No, went too far to the passive. And then you retaliate. Depending on how much damage this guy does, you could crank out some serious damage, like interesting, kind of like the similar skill in Raid. When you kill somebody, you get to take another turn. There's a few heroes like that, but this is much better than that. Especially, no, that wouldn't work. I was thinking if he killed them, then, like, say if you had Anubis with them, you got that. Well, I guess it depends. I think he said 20% when an enemy dies. So if he kills somebody with retaliate, Anubis could gain 20% turn meter increase. So that would be a pretty good combo there. Give him some turn meter boost, and you're not taking a turn. Obviously, you'd have to set that up right. You would need some good debuffs. But what's her name? I don't think you can see her thing. Aphrodite. She did have some of that. He had some of that too on his second skill. What was it? Attack down? Yeah, attack down. So yeah, also, he's kind of I don't know, he looks like he could be a standalone character. I guess we don't know what's coming, but depending on the sets and how this game works, he could be one of those solo champions that you can build for certain stages. That's how I'm kind of seeing him. If you had the gear. If you didn't have the gear, he's a pretty good support, is how I would place him right now. But anyways, let's see too. Bonus 35% all battles. Okay, not bad. And let's see his passive.
And then lastly,
reduces damage taken from intercept attacks by 50%. Will heal by 10% max HP when intercepting damage from an ally. Okay, so intercept is going to work like ally protect. And then this works, this even goes more towards what I was thinking, where you could build him as a solo champ. Because if he has intercept placed on somebody, or wait, retaliate, I'm getting those two confused. Okay, so that wouldn't really affect solo build as much then. But he could still be a carry. And if you put intercept on, let's say, food champs, if that's how we level up champs, he could still be cranking out some turns and some damage to get through the stages quicker, and could still essentially... Yeah, this could be good for, you know, a solo carry while leveling things up. If you're doing some type of event maybe, or even, you know, you say you got another champ, whoever homeboy over here with the crown is, maybe that's Arthur. Or wait, no, he's Arthur. What am I saying? I don't know who that would be then. Another dude with the crown. Anyways, let's say you're carrying this dude and you gotta level him up. He's super weak. His kit seems to be pretty well built for soloing stuff and, you know, leveling stuff up.
Intercept attacks by 50%, will heal by 10% max HP when intercepting damage from an ally. So that's the three of them. We're just going to look at some of their animation.
Alright. I I won't add that to the video. If you want to look at their animations, go check this video out on Fateless's YouTube page. Again, this is HLock. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Bye.